Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing some of the support questions that my friend who attended a support interview recently was asked. Meanwhile, I shared some interview questions when I personally went for a support work job somewhere sometimes last year. Do well to watch that video because it has really helped a lot of people. You too, go through the comments yourself and you'd be blown away. So let's dive straight into this video. There are two categories of questions that you will be asked, and the first one is the one that is related to care, which are general questions, and the other one is the one that's related to the company that you would be working for or that is interviewing you. Each company also takes care of different set of people. Support companies, they basically care for kids and young adults, while others care for maybe people living with disabilities, learning disabilities. Meanwhile, for some support, it's basically mental health, where you have to deal with people with like schizophrenia, people with bipolar, people with epilepsy and the likes. So you have to really understand what company is inviting you for the interview. So the first thing you need to do is to Google about that company, what it stands for, what set of people they are caring for you to, be able to study for your interview questions. I'm going to be sharing support work questions relating to kids and young adults in learning disability company. The name of the company has been shared in my previous video where I shared 5 companies, top companies that are currently recruiting in the United Kingdom. So the first question asked was, what is safeguarding? So this particular question is not specific to support work alone, it's just a general care question. And so what is safeguarding? If they ask you, in my opinion, I would say if you have an example, if you are experienced and you have like a scenario that has played out in the past, you would rather narrate that experience. Like, don't mention names in real fact. You can just say, oh, that reminds me of when I was working with so when I was working in my previous company, there was this thing that happened. Like, I was asked that question during one of my interviews and I said, oh, that reminds me of where I did my 20 hours in the past. There was a man who was violent, who had violent tendencies, and there were other residents in that home that were dementia patients. And for some dementia patients, they're already wandering around the home, they are wandering, walking about and entering different residents' rooms. So this one of the dementia patients entered into the room of this violent man and he punched this man on his face and he got injured. It was bleeding all over his head. And in order to curb that, what the home did was to install a bell, or you call it a buzzer, on the door of this violent resident, such that if anybody opens the door of this resident, the buzzer goes on, the alarm goes on to start beeping, and that notifies all the staff in the home at that time that somebody, which could be the main resident, that violent resident, or another resident, that somebody has opened his door. And we all go, or someone is assigned to go and check, just to ensure that everybody in that home is safe from harm. In a nutshell, what safeguarding means is to protect the health, the well-being, and the rights, like the human rights of people, in order to protect them from harm, from neglect and abuse. That is what safeguarding means. But when you give like a scenario, you help the interviewer understand that you know what you're doing and you're experienced. The second question asked was, what do you understand by risk assessment? Have you done any risk assessment in the past? So just be honest as much as possible, because what will be will be. If they will give you the job, they will give you. If they will not give you, they will not give you. So it's better that you are a man of honor. Just let them know if truly you know what risk assessment is, or you have done a risk assessment in the past or not. Just be honest. In a simple term, risk assessment is a careful examination of what could cause harm to people, so as to weigh whether you have put enough preventive measures in place in order to avoid and prevent harm to people. So that is what a risk assessment is. Usually carers don't do risk assessment. It's like when the home is about to take in a new resident, basically they have to conduct a risk assessment first to see, is this a resident prone to fall? What is the history of this resident? Does this resident take sugar? And that is what they use in order to draw up their care plans that the carers now follow. So basically, that is what risk assessment is. I'm sure you're not expected to know too much about risk assessment because it's not your duty as a care assistant or a support worker. The third question, which is also a general question, was if you're successful for this post, let's assume that you're working and you see your colleague abusing a kid in the home, or you are suspecting that your colleague is abusing a resident. What would you do? So in this case, I've also been asked this question in the past, so that's why I said it's general. What would you do? I think there's a standard of operation, like there's a standard procedure. If you don't mention a certain thing for this particular question, it's either you get it or you miss it. So basically, you could say that, oh, if you're suspecting or you find out that a colleague is abusing a resident, you can walk up to the colleague and talk to the colleague, and after that, you could report to your line manager and make sure you document. The most important answers is to report to your manager and make sure that you document the incidents. That is the most important. In fact, you can even say you are not going to talk to the colleague directly, just whistleblow. That is whistleblowing. Now to the specific questions for this particular company, which I said is a company that cares for kids and young adults. So she was asked, do you cook? So this answer is personal. If you are the one going for that interview, just be honest. If you cook, let them know. If you don't cook, let them know. Although they told her, oh, sorry, it's not like we're going to employ you as a chef, but you're going to be working with kids and sometimes they may be hungry and need to eat. That's why we're asking. So that to be on the safe side for this kind of question, you have to be able to cook. So the next question was, okay, if you said that you do cook and you like cooking, what's your favorite meal? So this is also personal. You can tell them what your favorite meal is. For your information, my friend is Nigerian and she was able to tell them she loves jollof rice. And they were asking, what's jollof rice? She told them how it's made and all that. So you don't necessarily have to mention English food. Just be honest, okay? Next question was, do you like pets? So this is also personal. Let them know if you like pets or not. And then because my friend likes pets, she was asked what pet she likes and she told them what she likes. And then she was asked, oh, it's not like we're calling you an animal, but if you were to come as an animal, what animal would you love to be? So this is also personal. You could just mention any animal that you like and then make sure you have your reason for saying it is this animal, because in her case they asked her why. But personally, I think it might just have been because they want to know your temperament, kind of. Let's assume I say I like animals and I like lions. That can portray that I am wild and probably violent, now. Or like maybe if I say I like elf or I like panda or I like dogs, just have your reasons basically. The next question she was asked was, what are your strengths and weaknesses? This is also personal, but it comes in so many interviews. Like they ask you, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? But basically, that we are very strong people. We're resilient. We do not give no for an answer. We always, we are go-getters. We always go for what we want. We don't give up easily. That's a strength. Just think of what your strength is. And for the weaknesses, yours could be like you don't like public speaking. Yours could be that you don't know how to make very close friends. But one of your strengths should also be teamwork. You also mention all the skills that are necessary for this job, like you're very friendly is a strength, you're very empathetic is a strength, you're very strong, you're resilient, you're just hype yourself, man. And for your weaknesses, just be very careful. Lastly, she was asked that, okay, if you're successful for this role, you'll be taking a lot of continuous training. how well do you like trainings? Do you like trainings, and why do you like trainings? Of course, if you're taking up any kind of job, particularly a care job, a support job, you must like trainings, because immediately after you're successful for the interview, they will load you with a lot of trainings, and it is very important that you go through all these trainings, because it will help you. It will help you so well when you start working. So you know what our answer is, right? Who wouldn't like trainings? These questions are not particular, or they are not general to all support works, but this will give you an insight to what you may be asked, especially if you're going for an interview for supporting children and young adults. Thank you guys for watching. If you're just coming across my channel for the first time, do well to like this video, smash the subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you can get notified when I drop another video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.